hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It is I, Emily Sophia, aka M. Sophia, here to break down for you guys the latest episode of Better Call Saul. We are on Season 2, Episode 5, Rebecca. So spoiler alert before I dive into the mad thick of things, as I shall be endeavoring to bear all in this review. But just in case there are some juicy little or not so little details that I fail to address in this review, please, I implore you by all means, bring those things up in the comments below, since this review is just the beginning of the conversation. I'll do my best to hit all the topics, but I know I'm gonna miss a couple, so let's do this thing together, shall we? Man, yet another powerhouse episode in a season that just won't quit. I mean, I tell friggin' everybody in my world, in my personal universe about this show, and I still feel like I can't scream it from the mountains loud enough. I mean, it's incredible just how underrated this show feels. But then again, I wasn't watching Breaking Bad from the get-go. I don't remember how quickly that show gained traction in the TV world, but man, is this show of an absolutely comparable quality. And the stories that it tells are so tragic, are so well rendered, are so well thought out and well crafted. I've actually started listening to the Better Call Saul podcast that a bunch of the showrunners and writers and, people like Bob Odenkirk do. I mean, they bring in all the actors, all the everybody that they possibly can to talk about the episodes week by week. So that podcast is actually, I'm pretty sure it's on iTunes, pretty sure it's on other online locales. So look that up if you get the chance, if you want to have a little something scrumptious in your ears, listen to some genius writers do the talking about, what happens in the show. So this week, we kind of trace the continued escalating fallout of the commercial incident with the Sandpiper case, and it's actually much more heavily focused on Kim Wexler than it is our buddy Jim Slim. Now, of course, I do have to address the fact of the matter that the episode is called Rebecca, which is the name of Jimmy's brother's ex-wife? Deceased wife? I'm not exactly sure what the situation is there yet. I'm guessing that it's distinctly possible we'll get some more flashbacks in the future to kind of tell more of that story. But the first scene that we get goes back in time to a place in space where arguably Chuck is not electromagnetically sensitive. He is with a beautiful woman and a violinist who in fact wrote the piano piece that he was playing a couple of episodes ago, if you guys will recall that. So this is the woman. She is preparing a delicious meal for herself and Chuck, who is still working at HMM, and Jimmy. Now, Jimmy at this point is just, arguably drifted in from out of town, flying by the seat of his pants, and Chuck is having none of it from the get-go. But what do you know? Jimmy shows right on up, brings his beer, delights in the food that is placed before him, and pretty much charms everybody's pants off, except for Chuck's. So, his own and Rebecca's. Now, that's not necessarily to say that part of Chuck's beef with Jimmy is like an impending affair between Jimmy and Rebecca. That's not what I'm saying. I would say, sure, it's distinctly possible. I'm not going to count it out of the question, but what we see in this flashback is another situation in which Jimmy comes out on top. He spins all of his crappy mailroom lawyer jokes, and Chuck even attempts it, in the bedroom. Doesn't even fly. So he's like, what market is it that Jimmy has cornered that I haven't? And I mean, this whole flashback is so, I mean, it's so indicative of the things that Chuck despises about Jimmy and the things that we, as the audience, probably love about Jimmy. I know I myself got a kick out of the the nonstop jokes, and then the fact that Rebecca joins in. I mean, clearly Chuck has got himself a good woman. Now it sounds, based on the conversation, it sounds like Jimmy missed the wedding, but you know, at least he's there for the after party of sorts. Yeah, so we see Jimmy in his loose and disconnected. I mean, he's still in the mailroom at HHM and just kind of finding his footing and still enjoying kind of being a free agent in that, you know, and talking. I mean, he makes an average freaking workday sound like so much fun. Jimmy is the ultimate salesman and a freaking stand-up comedian. He is a maverick in his field. So many, you know, he's got all these interdisciplinary talents under his belt, and they are things that Chuck, quite frankly, you know, he can't wield those same tools. So it's great to get to see Jimmy in his element like he is at that dinner. Now, that's not exactly the case in this episode, as he is being followed around by the faithful and vigilant second-year associate, Aaron. And oh my freaking goodness, I could feel my blood boiling to the point that I could turn to a life of crime just from being around that woman for 15 minutes. Like, as of this moment in time, I do not blame Jimmy for one decision that he makes from here on out. I know that I'm going to be eating my words, but oh my goodness. So yeah, he's definitely getting the short end of the stick at Davis and Maine, which is quite ironic considering the fact that he ends up going to visit, you know, the public defender's office, and he tries to bribe the front desk lady with a Beanie Baby, runs into his old arch nemesis Bill in the men's room, and that entire scene was drawn out to perfection. I mean, this poor sap with vomit on his suit jacket, and he's like, oh my god, you got this job. Like, oh wait, don't tell me. Like, what card do you have? What is it? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. He just doesn't want to know. He does, but he doesn't. So you would think that that gives Jimmy just enough perspective for him to be like, yeah, I got this. I'm actually not in that bad of a place. But he knows that Aaron is waiting just outside of the men's restroom, and he's going to go right back to square one with her critiquing how many spaces he puts between, you know, after each period. And oh, Melanda, oh my goodness, I could not abide the things that Jimmy now has to abide at Davis and Maine. And so we really see how his position is becoming more of a prison than anything else. Already in this season alone, there's ample evidence of the path to come for Jimmy. And yeah, it's just filling in those blanks is what this show gets to do and really relish in. But of course, I want to hone in on Kim. And Jimmy actually gives her the opportunity to file a lawsuit against HHM for extortion because she is being arguably punished for Jimmy's crimes. But she's like, you know what? Hey, we are in this together. Like, I am your partner in crime and otherwise, but I'm not your sidekick. I am equal to you. I'm going to dig myself out of this hole that I am in. And so we get this incredible montage with Kim and her colorful sticky notes pasted on the wall of the law office, and she's making all these calls, essentially trying to find a new client for the firm to work her way back into Howard Hamlin's good graces and get back to where she started and continue to go from there. You know, this job is her life. It means everything to her. And so for her to take the easy way out, or, you know, kind of in Jimmy's way, the scandalous way out, that's not going to cut it. She's without a doubt one of the show's finest characters, and they are utilizing her to the fullest extent, and that makes me so happy to have another strong, fantastic woman in the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul universe, continuum, canon, what have you. She is such an amazing person, and you can feel the tension, the stress, the anxiety. You know, with every phone call she makes, she has to start fresh, and to have that smile on her face just so she can hook somebody in and be able to do something for them, and once again reaffirm her worth to the firm. And once she finally does that, Howard motherfucking Hamlin throws it right back in her face. I mean, that scene on the curbside where they are waving farewell to the new clients that has retained HHM. It looks like Kim is right on the cusp of being able to jump back in the boat, but no, she is still on dock review. She is still in freaking purgatory. I mean, this is her hell, absolutely. And it just grinds your gears to no end. In fact, I tweeted about this moment. I called Howard Hamlin slime in a suit, or scum in a suit, actually. And the actor who plays Howard Hamlin on the show favorited that tweet. So let that be a cautionary tale to those of you live tweeting a show. You never know who's gonna see it when you hashtag that business, but you know, it's pretty funny. I'm glad that the guy got a kick out of my dirty words for Mr. Hamlin. And it's interesting too, because later on Chuck is actually surprised that Hamlin is still keeping her down. So clearly Hamlin is operating on an even more personal level. And then we see Chuck actually trying to take Kim under his wing and to turn her against Jimmy ever so slowly. It is just such an intricate, delicate game of chess that we've got going on. And there's also a bit of a chess game that's happening with Mike, whose bruise has taken a gnarly Barney the Dinosaur purple turn. And I mean, battle scars, man. Mike wears them to a T. He looks great. And who else does he run into? None other than Hector Salamanca, Tio Salamanca to be precise. And he's gotta get a job for Mike. Mike landed his nephew in prison, and now Mike's gonna find a way to drop the gun charge. Apparently. Thereby possibly implicating himself in further shenanigans. So even though Mike has successfully gotten a new place for his daughter-in-law and all this jazz, well, he's not out of the woods yet. But yeah, man, what an infuriating, gripping, engrossing episode. Once again, I'm absolutely loving this journey. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I know I'm probably forgetting something, but you guys are wonderful and brilliant as always. So I'm going to leave that up to you and chat with you down there. So you guys take care, and as always, I'll be back before you know it.